Hello, welcome everyone to She Shed Radio Studios in Alabama. We're here to review Week 5. JB and LA coming to you from the great hot state of Alabama, where it's been 100 degrees, I believe, for the whole month.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, huh? As the famous Green Day song goes, wake me up when September ends.
One more day.
One more day, and September is over as far as it's concerning with the college football, as far as it is concerned, and we've learned a lot. Few surprises. I guess my biggest take is that Alabama offense, number one, is unbelievable. It's probably the best passing offense that I've ever seen. It's unbelievable.
Never seen a wide receiver group assembled on one team like this.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it is unbelievable the way Alabama runs that RPO. You know, Nick was against the RPO to begin with, and
times
have changed.
Yeah,
and
changed.
Alabama probably has the best throwing quarterback I can ever remember in my 50 years of living.
Once in a
lifetime.
And
you know, I never got to see Joe Willie play in the college anyway. I barely remember him in the pros but I can remember him at the end of his career. But Tua special, and I dare say that there's never been 4 wide receivers on a team talented as this bunch. It's unbelievable.
1 week is Judy, 1 week is Ruggs, next week is Smith. I mean,
yeah, and then wait on 17s next week.
Oh yeah, his year's next. Maybe he'll have his week next week or next year.
And maybe we was a little Clemson a little bit overrated. They've looked normal.
But you've said, you haven't been impressed with Trevor Lawrence this year as far as his. He's thrown, like you said, he's thrown more picks this year in these games than he had all of last year, and I think he had 1 or 2 more last week or this past weekend.
And we'll get into that a little bit, and I guess we can start there with the games of the week. Clemson 21, North Carolina 20. North Carolina's a very average team. And basically, I don't blame Mac Jones for Mac Brown. I may not have went for it there with that much time, but I do not blame him one bit. I will always. You remember we talked about don't put it in the hands of the kicker.
Right.
You remember a couple of weeks ago the team lost in the overtime game, Louisiana Monroe, when they played Florida State. I don't blame Mac Brown 1%. With 1.5 minute left in the game, maybe I would have kicked it. I don't know. I don't blame him one bit. Go for the win right there. Hey, and
he was the underdog. About to upset
had a chance. You take your chance when you take. I do not fault the coach there at all. So I was really surprised, but I think that goes to just how ordinary Clemson seems to be.
Yeah, they're not as good. I don't think they're as good as they were last year. Like we said, they lost a lot on defense. All those defensive linemen last year came back to win a national championship, which they did. But they looked.
They looked ordinary.
A lot of people were predicting, that they would have that they wouldn't have any tough games. I don't know. Maybe they was sleepwalking through this one, but North Carolina gave them all they wanted, and they had a chance to tie or win.
A good chance. And if Clemson loses that game, as weak as their schedule is, do they even get back in the playoff? Because the ACC is horrible.
I think they would, just because of what they've
defending
done.
Defending champion, I could see that. You would have to see how things play out, but
I think they earned it over the last 3 years.
I would say that, but I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all. And we'll just see how it goes from here. And I think the AP voters as that's the poll that we go by, I think they did the right thing by dropping them, and I think they're lucky to be at number 2 right now. And we'll get into that a little bit later on. But that was a head scratcher right there. I was at the Alabama game, and I seen it 14-14 at halftime, and then it stayed that way till in the fourth quarter, and then Clemson went ahead, and I said, okay, well, they're going to squeak it out, and then I didn't see the final. I didn't see the score again till it was final, and it was 21-20. And I figured that at least I had hoped that North Carolina went down swinging, going for 2, and not missed the extra point, and they did. So that was probably my surprise game of the week. This week we've got 3 games that I want to talk about as our games of the past week and week 5. Probably the next game that was most impactful for me was Ohio State.
They look good. They look really good. I mean, I settled in for what I thought would be a good game.
You know,
and maybe Nebraska fooled me a little bit, me thinking they may have a chance, but I don't know. Ohio State really looked the part to me.
They did, and think about it. Everybody, they pumped up Nebraska this year. They put them in the top 25 after they went 4-8 last year, and for what? I went into that game thinking, hey, Nebraska's gonna give Ohio State their toughest game up until this point. That game was 38-0 at halftime.
It was a wrap.
That was Nebraska's a fraud, and I don't get it. I don't see where all these sports writers put them up in the top 25. That was ridiculous. They're not any good. They lost to Colorado, and they got blown. Frost. I just don't get it with him.
I read some articles this morning, and that they're, of course, they're pumping Ohio State up, which Ohio State looked good.
And should. Yeah, they look good.
But Nebraska was not what I thought they were.
No, not at all. And if they had came out and said, based on what we've seen thus far, we're gonna make Ohio State number 1 in the country, I really wouldn't have a problem with that. I think they've looked as good and maybe their competition is tougher than Alabama has been, than LSU has been, and
well, you reap the reward of being number 2. So
yeah,
if they're going to drop Clemson, I mean, Alabama hasn't lost, so
I agree.
You're going to put them up there.
Yeah, and Alabama's not. I mean, they've blown out everybody they've played, but they've not played any team with a pulse yet. Nobody.
Well,
and I don't know that Ohio State has either.
Well, obviously they hadn't. Because,
man,
the media had me believing that Nebraska had a pulse, but they fooled me.
Yeah,
because
Nebraska's awful. Yeah. They're going to be lucky to win 7 games this year. They should be shooting to make a bowl instead of trying to. Because I got news for them. Wisconsin will beat the brakes off of them.
Are we going to talk about Wisconsin now?
No, not right now. Okay. We will a little bit later. Game 3 of my most impressive games of the week, or the games that shaped the season, was, dare say, the Auburn Tigers.
Well, they did look pretty good, didn't they? I mean, but I don't know how
that quarterback ain't thrown for 300 yards all year and through 3-4 games, and he went out there yesterday, and I will admit, I'm not a big Moorhead fan.
No,
I don't even know where they dug this joker up from.
He came from Penn State.
I know where he came from, but goodness.
Yeah, nobody ever heard of him.
I've never heard of him.
But
and
Auburn looked very. I mean, they looked.
They
good.
look
I don't
good.
know, but I don't think. Like I said, I don't think Mississippi State is that good. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I don't. I don't think that coach is that good.
And we know Auburn has a great defense. I mean, we know that.
I'm gonna tell you that coach doesn't put those kids in the best position. I don't think he's gonna last long. I think he's
Well, who they
way
gonna get?
overrated. I don't know, but I think that Moorhead is way overrated, and I don't like him. I don't like his coaching at all.
I think they should win 8 games this year. So I mean, 7 to 8 games for Mississippi State.
Did you watch
They're
that game?
I watched some of it.
Did you see when he got that unsportsmanlike penalty?
No, I didn't see
that. So so he gets an unsportsmanlike penalty, and he's still just raising Cain over there on the sideline. And that official went to him and he told him, he said, "Hey, one more and you out of here." And he could have been the first, and he warned him twice. I sat there and watched him. He warned him twice that, "Hey, if you keep on, you're gonna get your second one, and you're thrown out of the game." And I think it's just a matter of time. Mark it down. I think it's sometime this year. Write it down. Sometime this year, a coach is going to get thrown out of the game. You know, they
Moorhead
do that,
or a coach?
Just a coach. Just a college. You know, it's never been done in college football.
Oh, well, there's 130 something
Yeah,
teams,
but
so you're
but
gonna.
there's
Of course,
never
you're gonna
been
hit it.
no. There's never been a coach thrown out of college football. You see that in basketball from
Okay.
time to time.
What's today? September 29th.
Yeah, I say that before this year ends, that they're going to throw out a college football coach, and I think Moorhead yesterday was close to getting thrown out, and we'll see. And they might have played better had he gotten thrown out. So we
I don't think Mississippi
I
State's
don't
that
either.
good, but Auburn took advantage
they did.
of their of Mississippi State's miscue. So, and they came out of the gate. You know, I've said all along, Auburn. I mean, they have I'm throwing them a bone. Their defense is legitimate, high quality, high caliber defense. Their offense, I mean, I don't know. You can't really tell against Mississippi State, but you know, this is the kind of team that when Auburn has this kind of year where they have a great defense and they start slow on offense. They start slow on offense, and throughout the year they get. It kind of reminds me of
we've seen this before,
2010 or 2013 kind of Auburn team where they start out slow on offense, but they have a really good defense, and the offense gets better as the year goes on. And well, you know what happened in those years, so. You know, I'm not counting Auburn. I mean,
no, not at all. I think with their defense, and I'm not just saying this. Their defense is the best. There's not even a close second
to the
best in the country. In the country, their defense is ferocious.
Well, I thought Ohio State's defense looked really good.
It's good. They're number 2.
Yeah.
But that number 5 that Auburn's got. That joker cannot be blocked, and he is a man among boys right there. And they can bring that quarterback along. You know, it's going to be, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, games of the week this week. Here's the thing with Auburn. They got Alabama and Georgia at home.
Oh, their schedule is daunting.
Their schedule is unbelievable, and I don't know how
if they make
they
it
go
through
that
schedule. If they make it through with just one loss, I will give them all the credit in the world if they make it through that schedule with just one loss.
But there are two, and we'll talk about this a little bit. They're 2-point favorites this week, and I think that's blown up a little bit from how they've played this past weekend. So I don't think that's a true line. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
I don't think that's a true line. I think the true line is probably Florida, a 3-point favorite. But Auburn is favorite. So that's a toss-up game. That's a 50-50 game. It's at Florida. I'm not a big Mullen fan, so I would not be a bit surprised if Auburn wins that game. But when they go play LSU, hey, LSU they've looked as good as anybody in the country.
Well, Florida had a big win against Towson this week.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out next week about Florida. We're going to find out real quick. And then they got to go play Georgia.
All they have, I mean, I think
LSU,
they're going to play
Georgia, and Alabama. if they go 2-2 in that stretch, that's going to be phenomenal. But they could go 0-4. I don't see them doing any better than 2-2. But we will see. But that being said, to me that was a statement game because the quarterback got better for Auburn, and we'll see how that shakes out going forward. If we look at the power conferences, the ACC, you got Clemson, that's undefeated. I'd say we're unimpressed with them. And you got Wake Forest that's undefeated. A little surprise there. They play in the same conference. That'll shake out. Then in the Big Ten, hey, we've talked about Ohio State, how impressive they look. But I'm gonna tell you somebody else that's looking pretty good. Penn State. They had a big win this past week at Maryland. You know, a lot of talk about Maryland.
I mean, was it a shutout?
Oh yes, 59-0 beat down. It was impressive what Penn State did. So, and they're going to play each other. And if I'm not mistaken, that game is at Penn State. That game is at Ohio State. But Penn State's had some success against Ohio State, and it's going to be interesting to see those two teams square off later on down the road.
Penn State's been kind of under the radar this year.
They have, you know. And then on the other side in the Big Ten, you've got Wisconsin undefeated.
Well, Wisconsin looked a little human this weekend.
Well, I think that's understandable considering they've had some big wins. You know, they had a big game against Michigan last week. They were in control of that game the whole time. But I'm telling you, Wisconsin's a good football team.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I agree they are. But, you know, they looked more human this weekend.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. 9 point victory over Northwestern, which is a bottom tier Big Ten school. But two teams that surprised me that are undefeated as September ends, Minnesota and Iowa. Minnesota, they're rowing the boat.
Paid no attention to those two. I haven't.
No, but Iowa,
you'll
I
have to fill me in on these because I haven't paid
Minnesota
any
beat a decent Purdue team yesterday on the road. You remember that's the coach Fleck. What's his name? Fleck used to coach Central Michigan or Western Michigan. PJ Fleck, yeah. He's got them going in the right direction. Row the boat. He's the row the boat coach, and undefeated through September. That's pretty good for them, for Minnesota. Iowa, they had a big win against Iowa State last week. They beat Middle Tennessee State. We're going to find out about them this week as they play Michigan, and that's a loser leave town game right there. So we will see.
So Michigan beat Maryland, right?
Didn't Michigan beat Rutgers this week.
Rutgers,
they beat Rutgers good. Big 12, you got Oklahoma and Baylor that's undefeated. I think Baylor will be exposed shortly. I think the Big 12 is going to come down between Oklahoma and Texas. Whoever wins that second game, whenever they play in Arlington in December, same day as the SEC championship game, that's going to be it. But I'm going to tell you, Oklahoma looks as good as anybody.
Well, they played somebody with no defense. I mean, no defense. Absolutely zero defense.
Yeah, but
there's no
big numbers. No.
Well, I could put up big numbers against the Big 12 defense, excluding Texas, which
you
Texas.
don't think Texas Tech's defense is as good as Ole Miss?
I think they're horrible. I think Ole Miss's defense is 10 times better than Texas Tech. I honestly do. They play no defense in the Big 12 except for Texas has a little bit of defense, and they're not that good on defense. I'm sorry, but no defense.
So you don't give Jalen Hurts any.
I absolutely give Jalen Hurts credit. I mean, we knew he was going to do this when he went to that conference, and you know he made the right
numbers
move.
that Murray didn't put up, or Mayfield.
He made the right decision to go to Oklahoma, and I'm glad. I'm happy for Jalen. he's played in the SEC where he won a lot of games, and he knows. I mean, it's got to be like a cakewalk for him out there. It's probably like him playing back in high school again. They play no defense in the Big 12. I'm sorry, that's just the facts. And yes, I think that Ole Miss's defense is 10 times
Ole Miss
better.
defense is horrible too.
I don't think they're that bad.
I
think
we'll get into this.
You want to say Ole Miss's defense is bad just because Alabama scored 50-something points, but
Alabama's going to score 50 on anybody.
They're going to make a lot of defenses look bad. You can't judge it by that. But Big 12 plays no defense.
Ole Miss defense has gotten better, but we will see.
But
we will
I'm
see.
saying Jalen has put up big numbers, and he is a talented athlete. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. But he's got to feel like he's basically back in high school.
Yeah.
Because they play no defense.
No, you're right. That's
my
true.
opinion. I mean, that's just
and I'm
my
afraid
opinion.
that you're looking at the SEC's got 5 teams and then everybody else.
I agree.
The Big 12's got 2 teams and everybody else.
I think the Pac-12 is out of it.
Oh, they have no undefeated teams, so they're holding their hopes that Oregon can get back in it, but they're not getting in a playoff.
I don't think so. I mean,
and then you sit there and look, and the SEC is just like the Big 10 in that we have 5 undefeated teams: Alabama, Auburn, LSU in the West, Florida and Georgia in the East. So, and if you look at the polls that were released this week, the SEC has 5 of the top 10 teams in the top 10. So that's saying a whole lot. And if we break down the conferences, the ACC, Notre Dame beat Virginia. That was a close game for a half. I think halftime Virginia was actually leading. And just looking at it, Temple beat Georgia Tech 24-2. Jeff Collins, that was at Alabama for a while.
24-2.
I think they're going to have to be patient with Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech, because anytime you take a team like Georgia Tech was, it was a triple option team, and he's trying to change the culture. He's basically having to take that program and tear it down from the ground. I mean, he is having to redo the whole program because he's changing the way they recruit, and I wish him luck, but I don't.
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while, and in today's time, I don't know if you get that kind of time to make that kind of change. The ACC is basically Clemson or bust for them getting in the playoff. I say where Duke is 3-1. Did you see the beatdown they put on a team yesterday?
Well, that win of Alabama over Duke is looking better and better. I mean,
it is.
I mean, it's I'm sure Duke. A lot of people were saying Duke was a cupcake game, and I mean, I think
they may be the second best team in the ACC.
They may be.
We'll see how that shakes out. The Big Ten, our good buddy Jim Harbaugh, he had a 52-0 victory over Rutgers.
That's a big win. Big win.
They fired their coach. Rutgers fired their coach, and I think they called Butch Jones, see if he's interested.
They fired their coach and their offensive coordinator, didn't they?
Yeah, who's going to coach them the rest of the way? So
they've got an interim.
I have no idea why they let Rutgers get into the Big Ten. I do not. I mean, I know why. They wanted that market, but the New York, New Jersey market. But
that's a big win for Harbaugh. That's a big win for Harbaugh.
Hey, whiskey keeps on going. As we talked about a little bit earlier, they won 24-15.
They did. They looked human.
But Iowa, undefeated Iowa.
Yeah, I haven't looked at Iowa.
48-3 over Middle Tennessee State. Minnesota, we talked about, they beat at Purdue 38-31. So PJ, he's got those guys playing good. And Michigan State, we're going to find out about them this week. They've always been a thorn in the side of Ohio State. and they go to Ohio State this week. Can they do anything?
No,
I don't think so either.
Not. I expect Ohio State to win big.
I do as well.
I may be wrong, but I expect it.
Big 12, we touched on this a little bit. Oklahoma just destroyed Texas Tech. Jalen Hurts put up big numbers, and I heard him talking today on the radio. The favorites for the Heisman was Tua, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields. Basically, those three guys all play, and Joe Burrows, which was all of those are SEC quarterbacks at one time or another. And two of those were Big Ten quarterbacks at a time or another. So, and I think basically you have those two conferences and then everybody else. You can throw a Oklahoma in there, a Texas in there, here or there, but I don't know if they can win a championship. The Pac-12, it's just a mediocre. You've got a lot of decent teams. I think they're deep. They have a lot of fairly good teams, but they don't have a great team. Washington State. Did you see where Mike Leach?
He called his players out.
He called his players out. He said that they were. He said that they were soft.
And what?
And that they were entitled. And that they were tough last year, but they're not tough this year. They were fat. They were
entitled. Fat and entitled.
Fight entitled, and I couldn't believe it. He said that.
I can. I mean, he's the centerpiece of college football for an interview. I mean, everybody. He's candid. He tells it like what he thinks. So
So they lost a tough game to Utah. I think it was 38-13. Utah's pretty dominant, and Washington State had that. They've now lost two tough games. They lost that game to UCLA last week, 67-63. Then they followed it up losing to Utah, 38-13, something like that. Never were really in it, and now the coach is taking shots at them, and we'll see how that resonates with the players.
Lost
there.
Again after that. But UCLA lost again, right?
Yeah, or Chip Kelly. How long is that? Hey, and
they're 1-4.
Hey, Kevin Sumlin beat somebody. Kevin Sumlin beat Chip Kelly.
Well, now they're 3-1. Arizona's 3-1.
Are they 3-1?
They're 3-1.
And then who did they lose to?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know.
Maybe Sumlin's got them. They lost to Hawaii.
Was it Hawaii?
First game of the year.
Well, he's turned them around because they're 3-1 now. But Hawaii's 4-1.
But listen,
Hawaii's 4-1.
Yeah, they are. They beat the brakes off somebody.
Nevada.
I'm never buying into the Kevin Sumlin train again. I'm just not going to do it. SEC, we've talked a little bit about it. Alabama,
top heavy.
It's top heavy. You got 5 teams, and then you got, of those other ones, anybody can beat anybody. But I think you've got Alabama, LSU, and Georgia, and Auburn, and Florida, and then you've got everybody else. And
I'm not ready to jump on the Florida train just yet.
I'm not either, but Auburn's got to play all 4 of those teams.
I know it. It's going to be tough for them.
It's going to be tough.
If they win, what did you say, 2 of those?
If they win 2, they've done a great job.
Yeah.
If they lose 3 or 4, how safe is Malzahn?
We'll see. I don't know.
They may give a little bit of time.
I don't think he's going to lose. I think, like you said, I think he'll split 2-2 more than likely.
Yeah.
I mean, Auburn's playing good. Yeah. We already said that. Yeah. They're playing good. Their offense is getting better. Their defense is top notch. So we'll see.
Here's the thing. Alabama looks great. They need to keep everybody healthy. They need to keep everybody healthy.
Defense,
Ruggs went down yesterday a little bit, but he came back. That was good to see. If those guys stay healthy, I mean, you've got a first-round quarterback, and you've got 4 first-round receivers. There's NFL teams that don't have that.
That's true. If they stay
So
healthy,
if they
that's
stay
the
healthy,
ticket, yeah.
they look impressive.
I mean, it looks like teams are going to score points on us this year, and a lot of people think, I mean, to me, football, well, it doesn't help that we have like 4 freshmen starting, for sure starting. We got a lot of freshmen starting, 4 on the defensive line, 2 linebackers. I mean, we've had injuries. That's no excuse. But it looks like teams, unless they shore things up, teams are going to score on us. And I mean, in football to me, I mean, I think that the overall landscape of football has changed a little bit. I don't know. I know Auburn has a lockdown defense, but besides them, whose defense looks as good as it has been? I mean, LSU's defense to me doesn't look near as good as it has been.
Auburn has the only defense in the SEC.
And they got a lot of seniors and juniors on their defense.
But Auburn's limited with their quarterback.
Right.
Only because he's young. He's
so
not
I think
played
teams
bad.
are going to score. I don't know. I think teams are going to score on us this year on Alabama.
Ain't
so,
no doubt. Ole Miss ran it right down their throat.
They did. Ole Miss put some yards up.
Ole Miss looked good. I mean, for what I expected, when you told me that Cordell wasn't going to play, I expected Ole Miss to get ran, and they put up. Ole Miss has 65 freshmen.
Yeah, I mean they did okay.
I was surprised. And I thought the quarterback looked pretty good.
He did, but he's basically right now he's just a running back.
He is right now, but we'll see.
We'll have to see if his passing gets better. But they ran a lot of misdirection stuff against Alabama that had our young guys really confused.
They did.
Other teams, I'm
but
concerned that other teams are looking at
passing attack.
Yeah, so
for Alabama.
So if Tua stays healthy and the receivers stay healthy, I don't see how you can stop.
No, I don't know. And he came off the field yesterday in the second half. That uniform was clean.
Right. Well, he's doing a lot of check downs this year. He's making better decisions, I think, as far as his health goes, and
I hope so.
But
had a cheap shot on him there when he ran in the end zone. They hit him late. I thought
that's okay, but we'll see what happens.
South Carolina finally beat Kentucky after 4 straight losses in a row, I believe it was. So that was a Muschamp.
Great
needed
win.
That win.
Great win for Muschamp. They
so
beat
he gets
Kentucky.
a little heat off of him.
They beat the powerhouse Kentucky Wildcats.
They had Kentucky had beaten them about 4 years in a row.
They beat them pretty good too.
Now we move into this week. Polls came out this week. We got a new number 1 team. We've not talked about this much, but the sports writers decided to put Alabama 1, Clemson 2, Georgia 3, Ohio State 4, LSU 5, Oklahoma 6. And I think those 6 teams have separated themselves. I wouldn't have had a problem had they put Ohio State 1 if you look just on resume, or Alabama. Alabama being 1 with their just their explosiveness on their offensive team.
I agree, but I also think that Auburn being number 7, I think Auburn has 2 of the best wins of the year. So I really think that they should be ahead of Oklahoma and maybe even LSU.
I think if you base it just on, but they don't do that. Nobody does that. You know what I mean?
But Auburn's
got the 2 best
wins of the year.
If you base it on what everybody has done up until this point, I think Auburn is number 1. They've got 2 quality wins.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would. They beat Oregon, which is a good team, a top 15 team, and they beat A&M, which is a top 25 team on the road.
Are they really?
Well, they're ranked there right now. And Alabama's not played anybody with a pulse. Clemson's not played anybody with a pulse except A&M. And Auburn,
Alabama and Clemson are going to get a little benefit of the doubt because of the past several years.
I don't have a problem with any of them, but I think Auburn, everybody is kind of waiting to see on them as they are Wisconsin. So I think those 8 teams, and luckily Auburn, they get to settle it for themselves. They get to play they get to play 3 of those teams, and then they get to play the number 10 teams.
But I mean, Auburn, to me, they beat Oregon.
Yeah.
You could call it a road game. They beat Texas. So just in my opinion, Auburn has the 2 best wins.
Yeah.
They should be ahead of LSU.
But we'll see. I think their schedule's going to be too much for them, and if they win, they win. We'll see. Team to keep an eye on, number 12, Penn State.
Yeah,
keep an eye on them.
They've been very quiet this year. I haven't, like I said, I haven't heard much from them, but they looked pretty good the other day, didn't they?
There's that big move for the week, Pac-12. The winner of the week, Arizona State, moved up 14 spots, moved up to be ranked number 20.
Arizona State?
Yeah. So they're just trying to put a team. Washington, they came in at 15, but we'll see how that goes. So, your number one, your highest ranked 1-loss teams, Notre Dame. Then you got at 9. And then you have Texas at 11. And I think they've got that right. When you look
what
at
about Florida State? They had a big win.
Oh man, Florida State.
30. They beat North Carolina State 31-13.
They get Clemson this week, so let's see, or in the week after next. I think it's week after next. We'll see how that works out. So we move into week 6, JB.
Who we got? What we got?
Games of the week. Well, it's not that bad. Purdue at Penn State. Penn State's 23.5-point favorite.
Sleeper.
Utah at LSU. LSU's 25-point favorite.
Utah State,
sorry. Utah State at LSU, 25. LSU minus 25.
Boring.
Here's a good one. Loser leave town. Loser's out of the playoff picture. Iowa at Michigan. Michigan's minus 5. If Jim Harbaugh cannot win this game, he needs to step down at the end of the night. I like Michigan in this game big time. I think that Harbaugh has to start winning some of these games. Iowa looks like a good team. That's going to be a good football game Saturday. Iowa at Michigan. Michigan minus 5. I like Michigan in that game. That's going to be a good one. Probably, in my mind, the game of the week, Auburn at Florida. Auburn's a 2.5-point favorite. I like Florida in this game.
I don't like Florida. I think Auburn's going to thrash them.
I like Florida. You like Auburn.
No, look. I'm an Alabama fan. But have you watched Auburn's defense?
They look real.
I mean, I can't tell you how impressed I am with their defense.
I just wish this game was at night.
Well,
but it's not. It's
I don't
2:30 CBS game.
I don't see this quarterback for Florida.
Oh, he's not that bad.
Auburn is going to get after him.
They are. He's going to see what he hadn't seen all year.
I like Auburn.
But that's going to be a good football game. I like Florida. We'll see how that shakes out.
And Auburn is a favorite.
Auburn's 2.5-point favorite. I was surprised at that, to be honest with you.
I don't see that. I don't see it. But
Auburn's favored 2.5 points. Texas, 10.5-point favorite at West Virginia. Texas needs to be careful at this game. Just to show you how Tennessee's fallen off. Tennessee is a 24-point underdog to Georgia.
Oh, Georgia will kill them. It won't even be close.
Oh, man.
It won't even
how
be close.
far has Tennessee fallen? Michigan State at Ohio State. I'm surprised that the line is this high. Ohio State is a 22-point favorite over Michigan State. And looking into SEC, Vanderbilt goes to Ole Miss, where Ole Miss is a 7-point favorite. I would just say here, be careful if you're Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off that Alabama game. You know, a lot of times when teams lose to Alabama, they lose 2 games. So I would say for Ole Miss to be careful. I like Vanderbilt in the 7 points in that game.
I don't like that. I mean, comparing Vanderbilt to, you're not giving Ole Miss a lot of credit.
I know. I think Ole Miss is young, and I just don't know how.
But Vanderbilt, to me, looks like the Vanderbilt of old. I mean,
They
and
do.
I think, Ole Miss has some players on their team. I mean, they have SEC caliber players.
They're young, though. They're young. Ole Miss has 65. I told you.
I mean, there's a lot of high school teams that could beat
freshmen.
Vanderbilt.
Oh, no.
Vanderbilt's
ain't
not
no
that.
high school team
Vanderbilt's
beat
not
Vanderbilt.
that good this year. How many games they won? 1 or 2?
I don't know, but
It
there ain't
ain't
no
many.
high school team beating Vanderbilt.
That's a figure of speech. But them,
I
expect
just,
Ole Miss. I'm going with Ole Miss.
But that's
and the
what I'm
-7.
saying. Ole Miss has 65 freshmen
It's okay.
that they're playing.
That's okay. I thought they,
I thought they played
I
good,
thought
but
they
it's hard to
played-
do that 2 weeks in a row.
and they didn't. Let me give Ole Miss a bone here. They didn't quit.
They did not. No, when they put the other kid in there, he went down the field and scored. A
They
lot
never
of people
quit.
lost money.
They did on a
Lost
5-second
money.
backdoor cover. So,
Yeah.
but Alabama had some second and third team players in
did.
there. And
But Ole Miss did too.
they did. But I'm saying Ole Miss to me didn't lay down. They never the whole game. They never quit. I'm gonna give them a credit for that they never quit.
I'm impressed with the quarterback.
And I think they're
But that's
better
playing
than Vanderbilt.
Alabama.
Yeah, but
everybody gets up to play Alabama. Now you get to go play Vanderbilt. We'll see how that
I
happens.
like Ole Miss minus.
So
the
we'll
7.
see. We'll see. I'm just telling Ole Miss to be careful. My 2 picks is I like Florida and I like Michigan. And that's going to be the picks for week 2. We'll see.
I like Auburn.
Yeah.
And I like Ole Miss.
Auburn and Ole Miss. So there's JB's 2 picks. And you've got my 2 picks. So, hey, man, the season's moving right along. Wake me up when September ends. Well, September has ended. And we're into October. And now when we start to get a lot of good conference games. So we'll see how it happens. And with all that, thank you guys much for listening. Thank you for watching or being on YouTube. And we'll be in touch next week.
Thanks to Kimberly Madison and Perry
Thanks
Madison.
to Kimberly Madison and Perry Madison, our producer and editor here at She Shed Radio Studios. We've enjoyed it. For them, if it was not for them, it wouldn't be possible. Thank you much. Take care.
See you next week.
See you next week. Goodbye.